everybody. This is Minister Ricky Sellers of the Agape Community Christian Church once again with segment 2 of 3 on our book of Genesis. Now, if y'all want to go, I want to hit the outline real quick so y'all have a good understanding of everything we're going to get into. And then we're going to go into our second segment. Now, in the book of Genesis, it's separated in about 7, maybe 8 different stories. It starts with the beginning, then it goes into Adam and Eve, then it goes into, Cain and Abel, and then you go into Seth. Cain killed Abel, and then they had Seth after Abel was dead, and Cain became a nomad. I hope y'all remember the term nomad from the last segment. And then we go into Noah, and then after Noah, we go into, um, Abraham, and then after Abraham, we talk about Isaac. After Isaac, we talk about Jacob, and then after Jacob, we talk about Joseph, and I yeah, and the book of Genesis actually ends with the story of Joseph all the way through. It doesn't stop, but we'll get to that. Okay. So we stopped off with the end of Seth and the beginning of Noah. So what happened? Well, after all the generations, happened after, Cain became a nomad and they had Seth and all those generations happened. God looked at the world and was like, you know what? This whole world is messed up. None of these people have any good in their heart. I'm going to eradicate everything. But he saw favor in one person, and that one person he saw favor in was Noah, which was really good actually. But anyway, when he saw favor in Noah, he told Noah, look, I'm going to make it rain. And you got to understand, back in the Bible days, it never rained before. It was just a light mist. So for it to rain, that's a big thing. And well, God told Noah, I'm going to make it rain. Better yet, I'm going to make it flood. And I want you to build an ark. And on this ark, I want you to have two of certain, now it says every animal, but there are certain animals that were on that ark that was specific in the Old Testaments of the Bible. He said, I want you to have two of these animals, male and female. And, for 120 years, I want you to, tell these people, back in the Bible, they lived very, very long, up to 6, maybe 700 years old. But anyway, for 120 years, Noah built this ark, and he was telling the people, it's going to rain, and da-da-da-da-da. So it started raining, started flooding, and the only people that was on the ark, it was the animals, and Noah and his family. Those are the only people that was on the ark. Everybody else that was there, it died. And while it was raining, it stormed and rained for 40 days. A long rain, 40 days. Can you imagine that? 40 days it rained. When it finally stopped raining, the earth was still flooded for 150 days. Can you believe that? Earth was flooded for 150 days and it rained for 40 days. So anyway, after it rained for the 40 days, Noah them finally made it to land, by sending out a dove, and the dove came back with a leaf, so they knew there was land. So after that 150 days, they finally made it to dry land, and that was the end of the flood. Thank you, Jesus. So when they got off the boat and got on regular land, we started repopulating again, and then we move on to the story of the Tower of Babel. So it's a short story. Pretty much what happened was these people felt like they can make a tower that can go into heaven. That was it. So they said, we all one language, we can do anything if we work together, all that good stuff. And they made a tower. And they took bricks and kept building these bricks as high as they could. And God saw that. And he said, these people don't understand what they're doing. If they keep doing it, they're gonna try, they're gonna try to succeed, but it's not gonna work. So, let me just mix up their languages so they can stop doing what they're trying to do. So that's what God did. He mixed up their languages and they were so confused, so no one was able to really make that tower to heaven. Instead, everybody, since their language was mixed up, they started babbling to each other, which is why this story is called the Tower of Babel, because everybody started babbling and couldn't nobody understand any languages. So anyway, after this Tower of Babel situation happened, then we move on to the story of an individual I like to call Abram. And Abram is the foundation of a lot of the Jewish faith or the Jewish religion nowadays. That's the foundation of the Torah or the books of the law. And with Abraham, pretty much, or with Abram, what happened is God told Abram, look, leave your family, leave your home, leave everything. I'm going to make you into a great man. So Abram was like, you know what, God, if you said it, I'm going to do it. So Abram left. And the first place he went to was Egypt. And when he went to Egypt, he was afraid that the Egyptians was going to take his wife, try to take his wife from him, and well, kill him and take his wife actually. So in Egypt, he told his wife to tell them all that she was his sister instead of his wife, so he wouldn't get killed. So they went on with the lie, and the Egyptians started courting his wife. By the way, Abram's wife was very beautiful. Her name was Sarah, by the way, but she was very beautiful. The Egyptians started courting her. They started getting hit with all kind of curses because they found out that that was Abraham's wife. And when they found that out while they was courting Abraham, it was crazy because they was giving Abraham all kind of stuff that made Abraham a very wealthy man. But when they found out, they kicked him out of Egypt. They was like, get away, get all that stuff. We ain't with the curses. And Egypt went with all his riches and all that stuff he got. Them trying to court his wife, and they went and lived in the land of Canaan. Him, Lot, and his wife. So, ultimately when they was living in Canaan, Lot, which is Abraham's nephew, and his people was getting kind of uncomfortable with Abram and his people, and they were, they was getting strife. So, Lot and Abram decided to go their separate ways. Lot took a gamble and went and lived somewhere near Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abram stayed in Canaan. That's pretty much what happened then. Time went on, and guess what, guys? God made the first covenant with Abram. In this first covenant, what they did was he took some animals, some specific animals. And back in the Bible days, when you make a covenant, there's something symbolic that has to happen to ensure the validity of that covenant. So what God instructed Abram to do was take some animals, cut them in half. A heifer was in there, baby goat, he cut them in half and had the blood down there and put Abram to sleep. And in Abram's sleep, he told Abram, I'm going to make you, father of many people. So, and what happened is during that covenant, Abram didn't walk through that covenant, but God swore pretty much on himself on that promise of him having his people come through Abram's loins. Well, after that covenant, time went on and God made a second covenant with Abram. And in the second covenant, his name was actually changed from Abram to Abraham, which was a very beautiful thing because, Abraham means father of many, and that's what his name was changed to. And he was pretty much promising and letting Abram know that, look, you're going to be a father of many. So now, the Abraham that we all know and love, this is how he got his name. After that, Sodom and Gomorrah was going to get destroyed because God saw no good in that place. It was a disgusting place. And guess what? Lot lived in the area of Sodom and Gomorrah. So, long story short, God sent some angels down there to save Lot and his family, and he told them to leave and not look back. So when they left, Lot's wife actually looked back and got turned into a pillar of salt. And but Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. It was said that fire and brimstone came from the heavens and destroyed the place. And that was the end of Sodom and Gomorrah. After that, Lot's family was saved. We go into generations from Lot's family, and then we move on to the story of Abraham's first son from his wife Rachel, which goes by the name of Isaac. And the last point I want to make, this lesson is a little longer than normal, but the last point I want to make, and we're going to stop there, is when Isaac was born, time went on. And God asked Abraham to do something special. He said, go to this mountain and sacrifice your son to me. So when Abraham took Isaac up there, he didn't want to do it, by the way. This is his first love child. Get what I'm saying? But he went up to the mountain and he got ready to sacrifice Isaac. And yeah, before he got ready to kill Isaac, there was a ram bush. An angel had stopped Abraham's hand, and there was a ram bush. Abraham was so excited. He was so happy and so filled. He named that place Jehovah Jireh, which in turn means God is my provider. So everybody, that's where we're going to stop there. The next segment, we're going to move further from Isaac and hopefully try to make it to the end of the book of Genesis. Hopefully. But if you guys enjoyed it, thank you. Comment. I know there's questions because I skipped a lot of information. Hit me up, comment, inbox me, what have you. Guys, have a blessed day. Peace.